Hello everyone, this is Marcio Cardoso here with another political hot take video on education reform. And this one's going to be talking about school placement and where students should go and which school level and whatnot. So let me give you a little bit of feedback here. When it comes to an increasing number of school districts, this is not all, but an increasing number of school districts, a student is placed at a certain level. And what do I mean by that? Well, in many districts, we have three levels. We have an elementary level, a middle school level or junior high level, and then we have the high school level. And what we tend to find is kindergarten through 5th grade is the elementary level. 6th grade to 8th grade is middle school, and then 9th to 12th is high school. Now I know, depending on where you live in the country, not always the case. There's a lot of cases where it's kindergarten through 8th grade is at one school, and then 9th through 12th is a high school. In some cases, kindergarten goes up to 6th grade. In my school district where I work, it's kindergarten through 6th grade elementary, 7th and 8th is at the junior high where I work, and then 9th through 12th is at the high school. And I kind of like it that way, and I think that's kind of how it needs to be. But in many cases, in an increasing number of cases, elementary stops at 5th grade, and then the kids move on to secondary school or middle school or junior high school by 6th grade. That's too soon. We got to change that. In my opinion, 6th graders should stay at elementary school. Period. End of discussion. I mean, we have K through 8 schools right now, so in some cases, there's 8th graders who go to the same campus or in the same vicinity as kindergartners. And there's reasons for that, particularly in small towns, small districts, they consolidate the schools. I get it. But in bigger cities, especially in bigger schools, you usually have elementary, middle or junior high, and then high school. I think that 6th graders got to stay in elementary. The kids are just not ready mentally, physically for a middle school environment or a junior high environment. They're not ready for the 5-6 classes a day. They're not ready for the locker rooms. They're not ready for changing in front of their peers for PE. They're not ready for it. You got to have the 6th graders at the elementary school. They need that extra year to be in an elementary environment with the same teacher and the same kids all day. They need that. By the time they hit 7th grade, they're ready for it. 7th graders are ready for the middle school environment, but 6th graders aren't. Studies back this up too. Study after study now consistently shows that 6th graders that get pushed into the middle school environment, they don't tend to do as well academically as 6th graders who actually stay in the elementary environment. We found that kids who go to districts where the 6th graders are still in elementary school typically do better than the ones who are pushed into middle school. Even when you factor in economics, ethnic background, and everything, when all those things are the same, the kids that are in elementary school for 6th grade do better because they're given an extra year to kind of grow up, to be a kid, to mature, so that when they're ready for that big switch of middle school with the multiple classes a day as opposed to just one, and the locker rooms as opposed to the cubbies, and actually having to change for PE, they're more ready for it, and they're not as overwhelmed. Now, the studies are slightly less murky about when students should go from a middle school to a high school. There's a lot of studies that say 9th graders should be in a middle school or at a junior high school. But then there's other studies that say, no, 9th graders are ready for high school. In my opinion, again, I think you've got to let them be kids a little bit here. I think 9th graders should be at the junior high school. So I think this is where my district actually gets it wrong. I think the 9th graders should be at the school that I work with, at junior high. I think that it should be 7th, 8th, and 9th grade at a junior high school. Because we see many times 9th graders, they're just not ready for high school. They're not mature emotionally, mentally, physically. And maybe that's because those 9th graders who weren't ready for high school, they were once 6th graders who weren't ready for middle school, but they got put in middle school, and thus they started to just simply fall behind, and now they're playing catch up. But many teachers that I've known, worked with, have told me the 9th graders, they're just not ready. They're just not ready. 10th graders, they're ready, of course. So 10th graders stay in high school. But 9th graders are not mentally, socially, physically ready, especially the boys who take more time to mature, physically and emotionally than girls do. So boys especially are not ready. But even girls, they need that extra year too. You need to keep them at the right placement. It used to be, for a lot of places where it used to be, sixth graders were in elementary and ninth graders were in junior high. In my mother's generation, when she went to school, K through 6 was elementary, 7 through 9 was junior high, and then 10 through 12 was the high school. And that seemed to work out well. So why did it change? It's competition. When standardized testing became all the rage and schools wanted to compete, they wanted to get as much money as possible, because if you do well in those standardized tests, that's how you can get more money into the school district. And so they tried to get everyone going sooner. Well, let's get the sixth graders into middle school. Let's get the ninth graders into high school. Let's push them forward. And we've seen that doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. In fact, it does the opposite. We need to go back to the way it was. We need to have sixth graders in elementary school, and I think ninth graders should be at junior high school. Let's let them develop at the rate that they are meant to develop. If you notice, when it comes to puberty, there's certain stages. A kid gets mature at a certain stage. And for me, what I've noticed is there's a huge gap in development between 6th and 7th grade and between 9th and 10th grade. So it's perfect. Between 6th and 7th grade, that's the cutoff between elementary and junior high. Between 9th and 10th grade, that should be the cutoff between junior high and high school. And yet, we've pushed it back a year. We send them into middle school 1 year too early, and we send them into high school 1 year too early. And it messes up with their psyche. And what happens is many students tend to fall behind. And again, my original educational reform video, the achievement gap, this is how we have the achievement gap. Because for a lot of students, especially boys, they're not emotionally and mentally mature. And so they tend to fall behind. You got to give them that extra year. And that's why I think it's vital that we send our sixth graders back to the elementary schools and we send our ninth graders back down to the junior high schools. You do that, it gives them that extra year, that natural progression of puberty and development aligns with the schools that they go to, and they're that much more ready and prepared. And you'll see academic scores go up, and you'll see standardized test scores go up. So there you go. This drive, this competition, that's not what education's about. Education shouldn't be about competition, particularly public education, because you're supposed to be educating everybody, or trying your best to educate everybody. This is not a private school competition or a private competition where it's the best of the best. It's public, it's a service, it's for everyone. So let's stop getting so competitive and understand our job is to help everybody, or at least as many as possible. And sending the sixth graders back down to elementary and sending the ninth graders back down to middle school, I believe will do that. My school district's got it somewhat right, because we have the sixth graders in elementary, but we have the ninth graders in high school. But many other districts, in California, around the country, again, they send their kids to the higher levels schools too early, in my opinion. And we need to reverse course and go back to the way it used to be. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.